Any attack made by the rebels against this station would be a useless gesture, no matter what technical data they've obtained. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
That is fantastic. Terrific work. So no weaknesses at all, huh?
No.
You hesitated there. Is there something I should know?
No, it's virtually indestructible, like 99.99%.
Okay. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask what's the .01.
Well, I mean, there's this little hole. It was kind of an aesthetic choice by the architect, and if you shoot a laser into this hole, the station blows up.
Whoa. That sounds like a pretty big design flaw there.
No. The hole's only 2 meters across.
Well, that's no bigger than a womp rat.
Exactly. And even to get within range of it, you have to skim along this whole trench. It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, can't we board it up or, put some plywood over it or something?
Well, that would look terrible. I mean, we got to think about resale.
What are you talking about? This property is right above Sunset. The value's only going to go up.
Lord Vader, your inside references to the Los Angeles real estate market haven't given you the clairvoyance to turn a profit on that condo in Glendale, nor has it...
I find your lack of faith disturbing. That property is in a prime location. 20 minutes to the beach, 20 minutes to downtown.
There's nothing to do downtown.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish. All right, so we're going to plug up that hole?
Yeah, we can get it done tomorrow if price is no object. We'll get estimates.
Get estimates, yeah.
Attention, all capsuleers. This is 230 of 1022. Your broadcast has been commandeered by Notalotofnews News Hour with your hosts, Jason and Aaron. Resistance is futile. Prepare to be flabbergasted.
Welcome to the March 16th, 2011 edition of the Notalotofnews News Hour, a weekly review of the game EVE Online. I'm Aaron, one of your hosts. In-game name, Arwin Anoon. You can get a hold of me at Aaron, ERIN.ANWNN, Anoon, at gmail.com. Or you can get a hold of me at Akonom in game, and he'll get a hold of the information and pass it on to me. But speaking of Akonom, Jason.
That was a pretty good announcer voice. I like that. Golf clap.
I try.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Jason, and there is so many things I want to talk about this week. I can guarantee you that I want to forget something. So if I don't... Ooh, in fact, I just remembered another person. It wasn't vegan. It wasn't vegan. I'm so sorry, dude. You just gave a wonderful... Okay, my name is Jason, Akonom, jason.akonom@gmail.com, NVIDIA channel, phone number. Aaron, remember that, and as soon as I stop talking, tell the phone number. Okay. Want to make sure, because I might forget this. And I can't give you credit because I forgot your name. It wasn't vegan. It wasn't natural. Oh man, because you email me all the time and I can't remember. So I'm wanting to try to do Google as I'm doing this. Anyway, here's a great idea. So this guy comes up with this idea of how, Aaron, would you take care of if you hated macro miners? What's a good way of taking care of macro miners? And you got any ideas while I'm searching?
Good way of taking care of macro miners?
You know what I'm saying? The people who go out there with their hulks and just mine and come back, they're just botting. And, a lot of people claim, hey, you're a bot, and they kill you and all this other stuff. So this one guy came up with this great idea. But before, I'll give you a second to answer that.
Macro miners. How would you take care of... Boy, you're just kind of putting me on the things. The hardest part about that is there are some of us, like me, who are kind of oblivious when we're on game. We're focused on the goal, and we're not paying attention to the messages. But if you could send out try and contact them specifically, because I know that there's a pop-up that comes up saying this person's trying to talk to you. You could then find out if that is a macro miner or not, because that person would respond or not. Of course,
very close. There it is. There's his name.
And then you could hunt that person down, or I should say not hunt that person down because it's a macro miner. You'd just fly over to that person and kill him, I guess. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of thought on how to get rid of macro miners because it's not really my job.
Just so everybody knows, Me and Aaron been talking for an hour as my computer's been flaking out and stuff, and we've just been, having some good discussions, and hey, how's your trip, and that type of thing. So we've been having a great time, and as soon as we say, hey, let's start the podcast and go, that's when I hit Aaron up with this. So I didn't give Aaron any moments to do this. This is truly on the fly of him going, what? Thanks so much. We had an hour, and you didn't give me a moment. So that's how we roll here. That's why if you hear Aaron stumble, it truly is me going squirrel and going completely off the direction we were talking about. So I'm going to give the first name. I don't see anything. Jeff. I want to give him credit. So I see a ship which I suspect of being a mining bot. I activate a module on the target pilot who has 30 minutes to respond to the challenge. If they successfully reply to my module, then that does not have a cooldown. No. Then my module doesn't have a cooldown. That pilot's immune to being re-challenged that day. So in other words, I can't spam him or grief him that way. That's great. If you catch a botter, it sets a 24-hour cooldown on your module. If they fail to challenge you, it self-destructs the target ship. So basically, you can one-shot somebody, but they have a 30-minute timer to say no. And then, it'll pop up the window with crazy backgrounds, letters, macros that they can't read. Oh, so maybe the challenge, this is, that type of thing, which is the whole picture thing. So computers can't read it, and it has to be an actual human being that can try to figure out what it says. Once per day per account, should keep griefers to a minimum. 30 to 40 minutes to give you a response. So an AFK pilot, if you're wanting to go make a sandwich, come back. As long as within 30 minutes or so you see this, you should be okay. And a person can't keep on doing it over and over again. So obviously this is a huge technical issue, but this is a really good idea for those people that really hate bots but aren't griefers. I told them it sounds great. 2 issues. 1, it's highly technical. And 2, griefers would hate it, because griefers already would just want to kill you and claim you're a bot. But people who really hate botting and aren't griefers, this is actually a pretty good idea. I hit you with a button, and I can even fly away. 40 minutes later, you're going to die if you don't respond. Pretty easy.
That would definitely... It kind of falls in that same situation with things, and as long as it's long enough duration that your cargo bay would be completely full, so that those people who are AFK miners, and they start the mining and then they walk away because they're doing something else, or they go to watch a TV show and they check back every now and again. Just so long as when it's full, it would be less than the time it takes, or I should say more than the time it takes to fill up your cargo bay. That's fine.
Okay.
Because it just means that you'd have to check it once every things, just when you go to move it to your Hulk,
right?
Or not Hulk, from your Hulk to your Orca.
Yep, and which is a wonderful thing. Okay, so once again, squirrel, completely off the track. But I knew if I didn't mention it right then when it hit my brain, I was going to skip it over. And the guy spent a lot of time and effort to write this, and I just didn't want to say, whatever. I mean, I really appreciate that thought. So thank you so much, Jeff. And I don't have an in-game name, so I'm having to use your first name. I apologize. But we're all on a first-name basis here.
Yes.
Let's see.
And our phone number is 828, not a lot. That is 668-2568. Not
Great.
a lot.
Hey, thanks so much. We have polls, and man, I had all these. That's what this is over here. Darn it.
You and your squirrel just got you all screwed up.
Okay, so it's kind of funny. I got harassed a little bit yesterday on the Nivea channel. The what ship do you desire the most? Someone came up and said, "Well, why don't you have a Rorqual, or an Orca?" And so I threw those up there. I thought, yeah, you're right. A Rorqual is an awesome ship to aspire to get. Aaron probably doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
It's the ultimate industrial.
It is
big boat.
It's a Orca has a 50,000 cubic meter ore hole. This one has a 250,000 cubic meter ore hole. This one can hold jump clones. It can actually jump. It's a capital ship. It cannot be used in high sec, i.e. that's why I don't have one, or else I really would want one. And it also can crunch. It can you can put in blueprints in it, and it uses some heavy water But it will take, say you fill up the Orca hole, or not the Rorqual hole full of Veldspar. I'm just, whatever mineral you want. You throw this in, and it takes that 250,000 unit, and it will turn it into compressed Veldspar that's like 50,000 units. You know what I'm saying? So
Nice.
You can actually hold even more. So you can actually sit out there and mine even more as it compresses inside itself. So it's a really, really nice ship. For the industrial, it is probably the ultimate industrial. But it's a capital ship, so you can never see it in high sec. Bastards. But you know what? You know what I could do? I could try for this ship and gun for it, and then take it where my carrier is. That's a good idea. That's what I need to be doing. That's the ship. I need to vote for it, because that's what I think my goal is now. Is I want to get a Rorqual, and I want to go put it where my carrier is. Because it can dock, which is important. So the only two ships that can't dock are the two super ships. So it can actually dock, so you're not tied to it forever and a day. I think. So if I'm wrong, well, I'll find out the hard way, won't I?
Well, you can always ask, Jade or Jane. I don't think Jane has a Rorqual, but I know that Jade is in a mining corporation, and he talks about taking those stuff to the Rorqual all the time and using it to compress. That's why I knew that they could compress.
That's right, because he just made one. He just made a Kara and a Rorqual this last year. So he probably knows, and since he can move around, well, he has 5 accounts, though, so you never know.
Yes.
But
that's why I say ask him, because you don't want to assume anything, because when you assume, you make an out of you and me.
Well, at least me. Anyway, okay, so that's one poll. We added a new poll, and everybody who probably is going to love it. The poll is, who will be the next CSM chairman? And if anybody goes to the website, they will probably get a laugh out of the options that you can pick.
That reminds me, I got to vote.
Yeah, let me go to the CSM thing before we talk about voting. But me and Aaron both probably highly agree with everybody else that you've ever listened to. You need to go vote. We'll get more into it, but I think everybody agrees. Yes, you need to go vote. Okay.
I'm a firm believer you cannot complain if you do not vote.
Right. So, hey, and that's a good idea. So I've got my ideas, and Aaron will give a few ideas from other people in the CSM topic. Moving on. What ideas will you make to try to make what ideas will bring you into low sec the most? And so far, the number one is high rewards, bounties. So on rats. So my thoughts were like 1 or 2 million rewards on battleship rats, that type of thing. That seems to be what they're talking about. Next one is high-end minerals. So we're talking like wormhole minerals or deep low-sec minerals. If those were more prevalent in low-sec, that might be it. Next was just pirates, people who want to be pirates. And then mining POSs and a bearer-class wormhole. Now, there is a rumor, and it's a strict rumor. Basically what that means is one person said it. I have no confirmation on it. How POSs work, Aaron, and this is the stations, not the car, is that for you, so if I want you can only have them in 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.5, 6, 7. You cannot have them in 0.8, 0.9, or 1.0 systems. It's impossible.
Yeah.
If you want a 0.7 high-sec system, you have to get your faction unmodified. That's a big word. So that means like all the social skills and diplomacies and fast talk and all those things that you can use. Those don't matter. It has to be itself at 7.0 or 6.0 or 5.0, 4.0. That's a lot of work, dude. Trust me. It's a lot of freaking work. Because every 16 missions you get is when you can raise your faction a fraction of the point. So it takes a lot of mission running. It's a grind that some people say Eve has no grind. I will argue every day of my breath. That was the horrible grind. But I finally got it. So what they're saying, though, is that lowsec has removed that requirement. So that if, like, my Amar doesn't have, I don't have 4.0 in Amar. So What they're saying is it doesn't matter now. I can actually drop a station in Amar Losec without the faction ability. I haven't proven that yet, but if that's the case, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. And that actually would bring a lot more people out. That's actually, then I could drop a POS in Losec, and I could actually go out there, and you can moon mine, do other things, and you don't have to actually build up the faction. Okay, so that's enough with the Losec thing. Let's move on. You know what? I'm lost. Oh, Section 7. I got a Section 7 note. You know what Section 7 is, right? A squirrel type thing, where this is a non-Eve related subject. Ready?
Sure.
July 12th. Mark it in your book. I jumped up and down and squealed like a little girl. Dance of Dragons is coming. Anybody who knows George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire and knows what type of heroin and type of friggin' cocaine is like, this is a horrible series because you get addicted and then you have to wait and wait and wait and wait. I put it to this way, Aaron. I read this series when I was in the Navy.
That's a long time ago.
And I've been waiting that long for this book to come out. And he has promised every 3 years. Not him. He has not promised. But his other people have promised. You know what I'm saying? You go up, like you go to Barnes & Nobles, and they'll say, oh, look, it's coming out in the 2004. Oh, look, it's coming out 2008. Oh, look, it's coming out 2020. Because they got so tired of it, they actually pushed it off. One time it was like they pushed it out to 2013, because that's a ludicrous thing. Yeah, that's 2 years away now. I was like, oh, man. So I'm just bebopping. And every so often I'll stop into Amazon and just kind of like, I wonder what do you mean it's going to be July 12th? So I immediately went to his website. He has a thing out that says it's real. It's going to happen. It is hard and set in date. July 12th. Yes. So no one else cares but me, but I am so happy.
Well, I'm sure there's a couple people out there who actually care.
So the other
Just
thing
none of them
is,
listen to our podcast.
well, none of them are co-hosts on a Notalotofnews podcast. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I haven't even read James R.R. Martin yet. I'm so far behind in my reading, it's pathetic.
His, you get HBO?
Yeah.
His first book is being April 12th. They're coming out with his first, with his first book. It's going to be a series based off of the first book. And my friend, one of the coworkers I have at work, it was like, all about this and HBO. I'm thinking, well, I might get HBO. He goes, hey, can I borrow that book? And I was like, well, actually, I have book 2, 3, and 4, but I can't find book 1. So he actually went out and bought it. And this is a guy who's always like, it's okay. Whatever. I'm a slow. Next thing I know, he's like, what's happening with this? What's happening with that? And he actually consumed. He was saying his wife was getting really upset with him because he would actually spend more time reading than talking to her. That's how addictive the book was getting. So, and that's the first book, and it gets even better. It's like it is by far the most engaging book ever. I can't remember. It might have been Billy that gave me that first book. Yeah, I think it was Billy. Billy gave me that first book, and bastard, I still hate you.
Well, spread the love. Or
Spread the
hate,
love.
however.
Okay, so Scott Johnson. What I wanted to say with this one is, anybody who goes to Frog Pants, and especially the Final Score podcast, I try to drop a note in there about Dust 514. And so these people are all about gamers. They're gamers, and the girl is really big on console games. And so as it occurred to me, well, what would, other people outside of Eve think about console games that is an MMO? Because it seems to me I really wanted to talk to him, and I was really hoping to ask him. And the thought is, every game that I've heard of on consoles, so you've got like Modern Warfare, and you've got Black Ops, and you've got Halo and Halo Reach, and all these games, they come out, they're awesome, everybody loves them, and about 6 months later, they're gone. They're not really played that much. Mass Effect isn't really played a whole lot right now, but people talk about how wonderful it was, or Mass Effect 2, that type of thing. And, of course, Dust, as an Eve player, I need people to really like it, forever. It's going to be an integral part of the game that we want to play. So I was hoping I could get their ideas on, people who really don't follow EVE about this game Dust and just the concept. Obviously, CCP hasn't released that much information about it, but just the concept of how would you like to play a game that what you do is actually matters, that the people you shoot really do matter, because if you win this objective, then because you won this planet, huge nations or huge corporations, and you can change the event of landscape. You're no longer fighting one map for 30 minutes, and after you get done, you slap each other on the back and say good job and move on to the next map. You win that map, it has actual repercussions inside a game, and other people either depend on you to succeed or really need you to fail. And I'm wondering if that type of thing will really be the addiction for Dust 514. So if anybody can go to Final Score, at least Google it, it's Final Score Podcast, and start trying to ask them also, and I'm trying to get a grassroots swelling on them. 4 or 5 people start asking about, hey, yeah, this is we would love to hear your ideas. I think that we could actually get some other people to talk about it.
Interesting. Maybe I'll go there after the podcast. Go annoy Scott Johnson.
Well, yeah, trust me, Scott Johnson Annoy and Jason are really like synonymous, I should be Jason.annoy instead of Jason.aconom. Sometimes it really is. So, in forums. Okay, yes, I apologize. So the big reason why I haven't changed forums is because I'm scared. I'm a scaredy cat. I'm afraid if I do anything or touch anything with the forum, it's going to crash the server. It's not because I have a prediction. I just don't want to get myself so involved that I get myself where I was before. So yes, I know I need to change the forums. I've been talking to a few people, and I'm trying to get the courage up and some time to rebuild the forums. I apologize. I still don't understand how you can't get the replies, but it takes a long time to do it. We've had a few people even try to really get into my forums, and it just, for whatever reason, doesn't work for them. I get the emails just fine. I don't understand. So I apologize. We do get people to look at it. Few people respond, and we appreciate it. But yes, it's a bad situation, and I will get over my fear, and I will get around to it. But I just had to annoy a lot of people this week, and forums kind of missed out. Okay, Aaron, my mouth is dry. One thing.
Oh, you're going to skip your one, or skip for your one thing for right now?
Mine's going to be long.
All right. Well, I just wanted to apologize because I'm a dumbass. When you asked me about Kira's podcast, I was thinking Kira's blog. Brain death. As for the 0.5 security status hunted by Concord by Let Slide after suicide gangs, well, as a Care Bear, I'm all for that. I do believe that they do have too short of a memory in the sense that if your security status is low enough, they should be more proactive as opposed to waiting until you commit a crime. Because I mean, if you've gotten below 0.5 security status, then you obviously done something to piss them off. So they probably should be like the cops, not so much only arresting you when you break the speed limit or something like that, but they actually should go out and hunt you down.
Would that be kind of like if a cop could actually see Osama bin Laden in like Texas, if he crossed the Oklahoma border, the cop wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
We're talking about a wanted criminal, that type of thing.
Yes. A serial killer.
Right. Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes. And anyway, I'm figuring that those kind of people, yeah. But then again, as I said, I'm a Care Bear, so I don't really, I don't hunt people down. I don't generally kill them. I think I've only had my name involved in one kill mail, and that was Kirith Kodachi's when he did his Bring Me the Head of Kirith Kodachi. So, it's one of those things. Will they be able to raise their security status up high enough that they can actually get back into there if they want to stop being pirates and they want to start actually doing something Care Bearish? Probably not likely, but could happen. So you got to have that ability, and I don't know because I've never allowed my security status to get that low. should say not since I don't even know what we start out with, but I know that. Oh, you start out with 0. So then, technically speaking, those guys would be hunted and killed. So it's it's a negative 0.5. Got it. I'm a dumbass. And again, as I said, I cannot read or listen and make notes because apparently my notes are just not working here. All right, and I wanted to say that's that. I am all for that as far as that goes. Now, I also wanted to point out one thing that I had noticed, and you know how you always talked about the fact that we actually got noticed in the news feed as you're logging into Eve. Last night I was playing Clear Skies 1 for my brother-in-law on his TV because we were going from my laptop to his TV, yada yada yada. Anyway, I get done playing that and I go to do my PI, and oh my God, there's a Clear Skies article in that news feed. And I have put in to our little document thing, and I'm hoping Jason will put it in the show notes, a link to the web page associated with that interview with John Rourke about his Clear Skies 3, and the full trailer is going to be at FanFest. It's going to be released at FanFest, and he said his ETA, give or take a little bit, is April-ish, but it's a lot of work, so it's one of those things.
Well, he originally, I'm not sure about this interview, I haven't checked it, but a long time ago he said when he made Clear Skies 1 and he put it out, he was hoping for like 20 people to say he liked it, maybe 25. If 100 people said he liked it, he would think that, that was reaching too high for 100 people. And but he also said that he would never do another one. It took him a year to build Clear Skies, and he was done. It was just an idea. Him and his buddies were just goofing around, and it took too long. Well, he got those 100 people in the first 5 minutes. So it's powerful. It's a powerful. I don't know. It's one of the best. I'm amazed by how awesome Clear Skies is.
Yes. Anyway, but I figured that way you could go read the article, see some clips from his new movie, and
so you haven't seen 2 yet?
Oh, I've seen 2. I just haven't played 2 for my brother-in-law.
Because the opening sequence of 2 is hilarious, where Mr. Smith's there and the door opens, he shuts it. Door opens, he shuts it. Say something. Door opens, go away. He shuts it. I love that. Oh. So.
All right. But it's now on to your one thing.
Okay. So someone was talking about. They wanted to know a little bit more about the Galente. When I said my Galente small little tower, and they were like, "Hey, that's good." So I figured I was going to kind of give a summary of how my week has been as far as trying to maintain or how my path is going for this. And I know it may not be the one thing. Obviously, this is going to be a long episode. I can already feel the wind is coming in my sails. So I apologize for anybody who wants the 5-minute long episode like it was last week. We've already killed last week, and we haven't even started yet. So for anybody who doesn't know, you need 5. It used to be purchased items, and then you need an ice items. So your ice items is a blank isotope, blank being nitrogen, oxygen, helium, and hydrogen. So that depends on which one of the factions you're at. That's like the only difference between Amar, Galente, Caldari, Minmatar are what type of isotope do you need. And so each area of the Empire, their type of ice provides that type of isotope. Then you got heavy water and liquid ozone, which always comes with the ice. So the Empire ice is always the worst kind. It gives you almost the very least possible. A good example is the strontium cathrates. Usually people refer to them as stront or strontium. They only give you 1 per ice unit. And I'll go a little bit more of why that's important. That one mineral is important. It's not as important day to day, so people don't think about it, but it can really pay off to have some. So the 5 that you used to have to pay for, and now PI quote-unquote provides, if you know what I'm talking about: coolant, enriched uranium, mechanical parts, oxygen, and robotics. And of these, oxygen is like a tier 1. So tier 2, or tier, they can't think they call it P0, or product 0, is what you harvest straight out of the ground, is what your extractors provide. That's a P0. Then your first basic will go from P0 to P1, and that's what oxygen is. It takes from noble gas and converts it to oxygen, which is always funny because oxygen is not a noble gas. But hey, that's them. And then from there, you have the next three, coolant, enriched uranium, and mechanical parts. They take two different P1s and they combine it and they call that a P2. So coolant, enriched uranium, and mechanical parts are P2. And so on one planet, you basically can have seven units. You have your command center. I use a spaceport for all my storage because it has 10,000 versus 5,000 and can shuttle back and forth, so that's great. So my two extractors will funnel straight into the spaceport, and then from the spaceport will provide back to the two basics, which will provide back to the spaceport, and then the spaceport will go to the advance, and the advance is required for the coolant and enriched uranium mechanical parts. One advance unit. And there's the and that gives you 7. Now the last one is robotics, and the robotics is the next step up, or a P3, and it takes 2 P2s to move into it. And in robotics case, it takes a mechanical part and it takes consumer electronics. So the different type of planets that you can pick from for like coolant and oxygen, you can either have like a gas planet. My first setup was a gas planet, so one planet can produce the oxygen and the coolant. So there's a time saver. A plasma planet can produce robotics all by itself. So all the minerals you need are on a plasma planet. In enriched uranium, I picked a plasma planet also because one of the minerals is only really found on a plasma and nothing else. Or you could find one on a lava, but you couldn't find the other one, that type of thing. So plasma is the only one where you find both elements. And then mechanical, I picked barren. They're very plentiful and they're very useful. Before I started this project, I had 5 barren planets and 1 plasma planet. You falling asleep on me, Aaron?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm listening.
So, and that was only because the plasma could produce me robotics, the rest of them could produce mechanical parts, and I could sell them. Because mechanical parts are needed for PI, or for fuel itself, and needed for robotics, and robotics is needed for both Tech 2 and PI, or fuel. So mechanical parts themselves is always going to be as a premium. So that's why I made so many of them, because I figured that's a good quantity to make stuff. It's pretty easy to make. One planet can do them, that type of thing. So overall, I've been looking through, and I was going to pull up, of course, talking to Aaron and all the squirrels that I saw today. I don't have it up in front of me, but basically my enriched uranium, I'm around 300, and I need 168 today. So in 1 week period, I need 168 produced. That's how many I'm going to consume. Check, got that. Oxygen, I have over 2,000 units. I need 1,176. They're the most used, but they're also the easiest to produce. So therefore, check, I'm good with that. Coolant, I'm actually a little bit struggling with coolant. I went from gas, I went to storm. And the only reason I did it between the two is because storm looks cooler than a gas planet. When you're looking at a storm planet, it's a little bit cool. It's a little bit easier to look at. One, the gas planet I picked out was pure white. So picture your screen all white with those little circles in the middle of it. It starts hurting my eyes. So I went to a storm planet because it's dark blue, pops up really easily, and every so often there's some lightning coming across. So it's silly, but that's the reason why. Enriched uranium, the plasma planet for enriched uranium, I'm 168, and I'm around the 200 mark. So I'm doing really good with that. Mechanical parts, I'm doing we got about 300, I made 2. So what I did is I have 1 storm for my coolant oxygen. I have a plasma for my enriched uranium. I have a mechanical, I have a barren for mechanical, a barren for mechanical, and a lava for consumer electronics. And so you heard me say Baron twice for mechanicals. Once produces mechanical parts for mechanical parts. Once produces mechanical parts for an assembly line that I use for the lava. So every so often, I haven't quite got a feel for it, and I'm giving a lot of explanation now. Next week I'll probably give a lot shorter, give you an idea what's going on. But the lava, I every so often go up, take them, move them over to the Baron, put them back in, and it looks like my robotics is going to be progressing that way. I've also got a plasma. That was 5 planets, if you heard me say. I have a 6th planet. I went ahead and picked plasma for robotics. And this is just to kind of prove and verify. And I'm going to go a full week. As I get done, I'm going to scrap everything, go a full week, and see exactly what it takes, and give you a report. Everything is set. Everything's good. I am not optimized. That's one of the things I wanted to stress. And what I mean by optimized is I don't move. I like one day I'm sorry. There's so many thoughts going through my head. One day I couldn't get to it in time. Another day I just never got to it. So I lapse a lot. There's times where I'll lapse my minerals. And so it's not, like right now, it's almost noon when we're recording, and I was about 6 o'clock this morning, it stopped. I haven't gone back and actually haven't done my PI yet for the day. But I have so many minerals stored up, I'm not quite worried about it right now. But this gives you an idea. The other thing I mean by optimization is I do every so often move my extractor heads, but not every day like you're supposed to. I don't move them every day. I kind of move them whenever I feel like it. And I don't move my entire assembly. I don't deconstruct everything, move it to the other side of the planet, reconstruct it, and put them all back up. I only keep where my planet is, where my PI is, physically stays, and I just move the heads to maximize the best efficiency. This is not the best way of doing things if you want to maximize your efficiency. But I'm just trying to do it. I've created the money. I don't want to keep on spending more money for it, and so I'm playing around. So this gives you an idea for a small tower. It's looking very doable. For a medium tower, if I get used to this, I might give reports on how a medium tower goes. For a large tower, I might talk about it, but I'm pretty sure a large tower is probably going to be not capable of doing it. For a Empire side Care Bear / soft player, or not a hardcore player, softcore player, someone who's only casual, not someone who's going to do it every 5 minutes and keep up on it. But I want to try to give more and more progression for that. Just to give you an idea, I have about 200 units of robotics, 150, 200 units of robotics. I need 168 right now. I was playing with it, so I can't give you an exact moment. My plasma planet that I finally got set up and prepped Saturday, all finished and done, as of Monday night, had 15 units. So that right there is telling you that if you want to go plasma and high sec, it's not going to provide you the robotics you need. It just won't. So you probably want to do a lava Baron system for that. As you can see, that's a pretty long one thing. Lots of things are engrossed with that. I want to go into more detail, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull back, and we're going to move on. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. No, it was pretty interesting. I've never actually even thought about getting a personally owned station because, well, it just seems like an awful lot of work to get that faction. And I have faction up. I think I have faction up enough that I could actually have it in this where I'm at. But I'm thinking it's an awful lot of pain.
It needs to be unmodified. So when you look at you're going to be Caldari, right? So you're going to look at your Caldari. Is it Caldari State? Is what it says.
Yeah.
And so he looks at Caldari State, and right next to it, there's going to be a nice little number, and that's going to make you feel so good. Do you have any social? Do you have any of those skills? Social, diplomacy. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I do. I've got them all. I've got them all worked out so that I can get as high as possible.
Right. So if you look, you're on one of the skill sets. It'll say something like, I think mine's is like Galente is like 8.62 is what my Galente faction is, and it says modified for a 7.02 Caldari or Galente. So my unmodified is like 7.02 or 7, something like that. That unmodified is what you have to look at. So you need a Caldari unmodified at 5.00 to be able to go into a 0.5 system.
Right, I understand.
And that takes time. The worst thing is it's a not logarithmic scale. What's the other word? Exponential scale.
Yeah.
As you get closer to 10, as you get closer to the higher number, it takes more and more missions to eke out just a little bit more.
I understand, Jason. Believe me, I've been doing missioning for a long time, and it was one of those things. I'm like, ooh, look, if I keep going, why am I not done?
Okay, so yeah, you got the Kadari thing. We got you. Nuclear power. I went ahead and threw this in at the back end of our outro. Me and Aaron, for the first hour, we kind of talked about this real life Japan thing. And since Aaron's a nuclear power, I used to be. I'm very happy to report that I'm not. We kind of we talked a little bit about this whole radiation problem and nuclear power, and so anybody who's curious about what two nukes, or one X nuke, one nuke, that is naval nuclear power. That's what we refer to ourselves as nukes. Anybody who thinks about that, they'll be at the very end of our podcast. It's free, or not free, but if you want to stop and listen, don't listen to it, that's fine. It has absolutely nothing to do with EVE Online. It has almost everything to do with reality.
Yeah. Give me a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, I think to me it dissuades some of the
fear.
Well,
fear-mongering.
I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but in America, the news agencies want to tell you the absolute horrible and give you the most. They want to bombard you with just shock and explosion and what's going on, and really paints this really bad, horrible picture. And while it's not roses over there, it's not quite the way it seems to be presented. And so me and Aaron just talked a little bit about nuclear power in general. Centerfold. Let's move on to some fun stuff.
Or do you mean boring stuff?
Boring. Okay. Yes, I mean she looks okay. She's not like the last couple. She's not like Commander Phoenix or Tasha. I mean, who just grabs your eyeballs and you go, wow. But I love the name, Boring One. I saw that and I just, oh man, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And she was an ice miner, or she was in the ice mining belt. I don't know where she was. But I was in the belt, and she was in those systems, and I've seen her 3 or 4 times. So I'm thinking ice mining, and someone named it Boring One. That upon itself just needs a shout out. So Boring One, this is for you. That's awesome. Okay, podcast.
Podcast of the week.
I haven't listened to a lot because I've unfortunately been, well, I should say not unfortunately, I've been with family a lot. And they don't play EVE because, well, they don't have the spare time to spend on online gaming.
Well, this is the week. This is like the week that you should not. How about this? This is the week that you should be listening to podcasts. Luckily for podcasts, you can always, when you come back, they're always waiting for you. But this last week, This week would be described as CCP. That's all it is. It's epic. If you can't describe it as CCP, you can describe it as epic. You ready? Lost in Eve, Eve Commune, Starfleet comms, and then the New Eden Chronicles is back. All of them are CCP. CCP is all over the place. Lost in Eve has a special, 30-minute special. Stevie SG, the lady who does Alliance tournaments, the lady who is part of, she's just like the PR person. Really wonderful. She used to do ETV. Great listen to. You just have to listen to it. You just have to go and listen to it, Aaron. Also, Lost in Conversations is coming, and one of the main front runners for the spot for Lady is going to be on it. So I've been waiting. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm so looking forward to Lost in Conversations. I mean, everybody, boom, jump on it. And then Podgoo, episode 6 comes out. Now, while Podgoo didn't have a CCP person, he might be lining one up because CCP is everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets one of the CCPs coming out. Eve Commune, they get X-Hagen. So they have X-Hagen gets a third interview with Garheed, and it's number 1. Now, I want to take a moment out, and I was listening to Garheed, and he threw a tweet challenge. I actually signed up for Twitter. I actually put out a tweet, and I was trying my hardest to figure out how to tweet, and I epically fail. I, as a person, cannot figure out how to get my tweet fleet on my tweet on the tweet fleet. Honestly, I'm not a big tweeter. I'm just not that big into it, but I thought of a tweet, so if anybody can do this and send it on there and just tell me if you get a response back, what the response is. So you have to do pound. So if Aaron doesn't listen to Eve Commune, I'm not sure how much you listen to it. Do you listen to it at all?
I've listened to them a couple times.
Okay. They have this thing called Tweet Fleet Challenge, right? And so they put out, you need to say this one thing, pound whatever, and then you have to incorporate it into a sentence. And whoever gets the best one, wins for the week. Well, this next one will be 2 weeks. They're taking next week off. So the good news is, if you're having to stretch yourself for CCP, all the epic things that are coming down this week, you can push back a little bit. But this is my tweet fleet. So if someone wants to tweet it and put it in there, and if they get a response, I'd love to hear it. Mine is pound. I once saw Fergie can flip Garheed because he was shorter. He just wanted to be like Chainer. So that takes the current one. I once saw Fergie. The last one was can flip. One of the ones before that was Garheed because he was shorter. And then there was another one because he wanted to be like Chainer. So I was able to combine 4 Tweet Fleet challenges into one sentence. I felt proud of myself. And I epically failed because I couldn't put it on Twitter, the Tweet Fleet. But the CCP X-Hagen was like a 45-minute thing. And X-Hagen, I tell you, is so nice to talk to. Easygoing, just a wonderful guy. And it's one of the most relaxed guys you can talk to. So it is an awesome interview. But don't forget Stevie SG because she's Stevie. On top of this,
I'm hoping that that it was Jade doing the interview and not Jane.
No, both of them were together, and
wow.
And it was pretty good. I'm all for Jane on this one. I mean, Jane was like, he wanted to actually start knowing, you wanted to get to know Stevie. Who is the person behind the mask and that type of thing. So it's a powerful interview. She dodged that question fairly well, but it was just great. Besides Stevie. So, Starfleet.coms. Want to send just a huge apology to Max Torp and it's not as bad of a fail as a tweet fleet challenge fail, because a person who can't figure out how to tweet, that's just a fail. But for the longest time, I had the wrong URL for Starfleet.com. Max Torp is on episode 6, and on this one, he gets CCP Adida. And this one was a little bit different. This was an email back and forth. And he gets his partner in crime to do the responses. And they talk a little bit about it. So it is absolutely wonderful. Also, Max Torp sent out a contact, and he has a U.S. phone and a EU phone, which is good. You know, he lives in the EU, somewhere in Europe, and he actually has the States phone. So if someone wants to get a hold of Max Torps, the phone number is 646-736-7891, or Skype him for free, which is always good, at Max Space Torps. That's just awesome. The last one was Crazy Canucks, and now so the New Eden Chronicles want to send a huge thank you to the Nimvia channel, because it used to be New Eden Chronicles, and then somehow, and I don't blame the man at all. Truly, you're talking to I'm Jason here, and this is the guy who can mess up a wet dream. So him having problems with his websites and everything, and so he's moved. I completely understand. And now he's officially, tomorrow will be 2 weeks. No, today is 2 weeks, the last time he posted it. So a bi-weekly or a monthly podcast, he's still way in the game. So it's pretty good. And New Eden Chronicles features CCP Manifest, who is like the PR guy. He kind of is in charge of things. And CCP Daishi, who I just love the name. And I could go into so many reasons why I love that name. It reminds me of Battletech. I'm not sure if he chose it because of Battletech, but it's all Battletech for me. Anyway, and that guy loved to talk about how he came about, and it makes it sound like if you really want to be in CCP, they're more than happy to take you. You just all you need to do is follow a few things, follow the STAR program, follow the IST program, and you can be in there. And also remember something they didn't mention, but Scott Johnson and some other places, that CCP is looking for 150 people over the next 3 years. So if you want to be part of this awesome team, then I think you might want to consider the STAR program, the IST program, because that's a leg in right now. They're seriously looking for people, and it's a great thing. And it was like 3 guys sitting down and having a great beer. And I think it was Guinness, in fact. And it was just a wonderful listen to. So, CCP, man, all over the place. It's a hammer, and it's awesome.
You missed Fly Reckless, by the way.
I didn't miss Fly Reckless.
I thought you did.
No, I wanted all CCP. Unfortunately, the next two, Podgoo, because it was right in the middle of it, but next two are not CCP, but they're up on that. Fly Reckless. So they're the ones that got me to say Jason. Chad was the one who got me to do my second reading, which is kind of funny because back in the day, I did my reading. He went, here's this guy named Mackinac. He does a reading, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, here is, I think it was Lobos. And here's Lobos. And I really appreciate him being able to edit his stuff. So he did. If you listen all the way back, he was talking about, it really was great that he edited it and put his own music in. Right after I did my reading, and he played Lobos. And Lobos actually went on to become part of his thing. So I thought that was the last time I got a shout out, and that was back in like February, before Not a Lot of News was even born. But this week, we finally got a shout out from Fly Reckless. Yes! All you have to do is talk really bad about Fly Reckless, and they will mention you. Usually not really well, but they will mention you.
Yeah, I was wondering when we talked really bad about them. I don't remember actually, criticizing them horribly.
It wasn't. It was simply that it's a good idea, and honestly it's a good idea in general, but if you're going to send someone some stuff, you probably want to have it edited first. But you know what? And I'm not trying to rag on him at all, because Chad came out and did a very powerful apology and just simply said that he messed up. So, I mean, once again, look at my website, look at how much I crash it, go back and listen to my podcast, and you can hear how many times I screw up. So it's not, oh, ha, ha, Chad, da-da-da. It is simply, you know...
I feel your pain.
I feel your pain. It is what it is. That was fine. Because if you actually listen to that podcast when the guys messed up, after they did the non-edited portion, no one laughed at it. No one said, "Oh, look how silly he sounded." It was truly a guffaw. So it was no big deal. But hey, if I have to spend this much time to get myself on Fly Reckless, then woohoo! We'll just insult them every week, and every week we can get back on them. That's the point.
And then we'll have another bounty on our heads.
So if you don't want to hear Herder, well, that's too bad, because I've got a short little advertisement I want to throw up that I created. But if they're looking for more listeners and readers, so go up to his website and say no more Herder if you want to do that. Unfortunately, I like it so much, I've decided to pick it up. So there we go. Just to give you an idea of some people this week, I was talking to them, they got this idea that Not a Lot of News Hour, that Jason account Akinum is like a big deal, like, you know, I'm a celebrity or something. I want to dispel that myth right now. There's truly, if I was in this for fame, well, let me go ahead and stop the recording.
The new Dromebot 2000. I've been waiting. This will keep my captain quarters clean.
Greetings. I am the SMA, Dromebot 2000. I am here to serve. I will clean everything, especially your couch. I shall take your couch to the dry cleaners.
Hey, the couch is fine.
You must move the couch.
It's bolted to the floor. You can't
couch to the dry
Hey, put that down! Step back from the door! I've had it. I'm calling the manufacturer for a recall. Okay, the manufacturer is, let's see here, Space Monkey Alliance Robotics and Drone AI Development. Space Monkeys Alliance. I should have known. Well, that couch is gone.
Space Monkey Alliance is looking for companies interested in mouse-sec life. Join the channel Monkey_Public for the playback near you. And remember, must get the couch to the dry cleaners.
This gives you an idea that Fly Reckless put out a blog, or put out their last podcast, and they got 3,400 to 3,700 downloads for their podcast. Crazy Canucks just put out a New Eden Chronicles just 2 weeks ago, and he got 2,200 downloads. Right? Lost and Eve puts out one, and they crashed their server. They have so many downloads coming out. This one, and Unknown Eve, back in July, was the last one they put out or something, and it was 1,700 within the first week. Right? We got 27. So if you're one of just like look to your left, look to your right, and keep on looking, because you're out to look for about 27 people around the world that listen to us, and one of them is probably me, because I downloaded mine to see how the back end sounds like. Yeah, listening to this show does not mean that you're famous. I hate to apologize or break this to Aaron, but we're not the go-to guys.
Yes, but we have been noticed. We have been noted quite a few times because of your comment about the Lost in Eve being the flagship podcast.
I'm starting to hear that. I'm starting to go, okay, so Lost in Eve is the flagship, and I still stand by my statement. And then Kirith is the sleek and sexy ship, right? And then on top of that, we got Fly Reckless. Now I haven't got one for Fly Reckless. I was thinking like the Power Hitters or if you have to think, when you think of Fly Reckless, think of interviews. That's all it is. Fly Reckless should be the interview heavies. It should be like Grand Central. There we go. Fly Reckless is like it's the Grand Central where everybody comes and talks to Angus McDecoy. And this is what I want people to do. On the end of on my eve when I post this, I want to, since CCP StevieSG and CCP Adita and CCP Manifest and CCP Xhagen and CCP Daishi, I'm thinking Angus McDecoy, he deserves a CCP interview. That's right. This is called out. And I think he deserves Helmar Peterson, the CEO. So this is what I say. When I get done with this, I want to say Angus McDecoy deserves an interview with Helmar Peterson. And I need people to come behind me and just say ditto.
Yeah, all 27 of our people who...
all 27, man. But that's 27 lists on this little bitty forum. Yes, and that's what I'm saying. So all 27 of you come out and post and agree with me that Angus McDecoy deserves Helmar Peterson's interview. Because, you know, if you've listened to him, he does some awesome interviews, and that would be something that would probably stop the world. But yeah, so Angus McDecoy would stop the world and back it up a little bit. That's how powerful that interview would be. And then on top of that, since I'm trying to create long and bad rumors, I want to create a rumor about Ninvia. You ready? His podcasts are now going to be an hour long.
I don't think his wife and kids would appreciate that one.
Wow. So you read my emails? Because that's exactly, I told him, hey, I'm going to tell you. He's like, that's fine as long as you come up here and, you know, take my wife and kids out for an hour. So that's actually what he said. That's pretty funny. But yes, the rumor I want to start with him is Ninvia channel is now going to be hour long. Put it out there, start trying to see what happens, and maybe we'll make it happen. Of course, he'll lose his sleek and sexy head, and he'll just become one of the main power bloggers. Because wherever he speaks, people listen to him. Hey, what was that commercial? Merrill Lynch? Was that it?
I don't know.
When you speak, people listen? Have I got them all?
You've gotten all the ones that are active.
Fly Reckless, Ninvia, Starfleet, and Crazy Connect, which is doing Chronicles. And then all the non-actives not being necessarily dead, just this last week. Which is okay, honestly, because this week, this is a heavy hitter. You have to listen to every one of them. Because there's so much CCP stuff out there. There's so much great stuff coming out. And of course, there's Herder.
Herder has noticed lots of people not paying their rent. Herder has decided to make offer to other rent holders. You pay Herder. Herder should pilot. Pilot recover. Pilot pay you. You pay Herder. You don't pay Herder. Herder shoot you. Herder will fly reckless. You don't like what Herder do. You go to right-click look at .blogspot.com. You mention you don't like Herder. Not much will happen, but make you feel better. Herder will still shoot you in the face. Ha ha ha.
Oh God, that was painful.
Yeah, I still thought that was funny. Okay, speaking of painful, CSM.
It's time for Assembly Hall.
Oh, okay. For 3 months I've been thinking about this, and so when the elections came out, I thought about even making my own podcast, sticking it up there, and trying to influence your vote and have you vote the way I think you quote should. Well, since I've said that only 27 people listen to me, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And I'm not going to affect CCP, right? I'm not going to affect the CSM. I'm not going to affect anything. So I've decided to change this to I voted to abstain. First time I've done that. I voted every time, and I voted to abstain. And I want to explain why I voted to abstain. If anybody else who hasn't voted yet, one, you need to vote. The reason why you need to vote is this is not like America, or this is not like Germany or Britain, France, basically every democratic Western country I can think of. This is not a right. This is truly a privilege. And if they don't, well, if they didn't, they actually have the showings is there's more voter turnout this time than last time. And last time was the number one. So it's voter turnout's getting more and more. This is awesome. This is great. But if you haven't done it, you need to go out and vote because it can be taken away from you. And there's nothing you can do about it. If they decide to stop having CSMs and you didn't ever voted, then you're a part of the problem. So you need to get out there and you need to vote. I want to tell you why abstain could be a choice. And this all has to go back with AUK. Okay? And then, actually before that, I want to give you some facts, pure facts, that as I see them. Right? Some problems with sometimes facts, even take this Japan thing, when the news reporters report to you, a lot of times you're still skewing things. They still want you to have beliefs. So I'm going to tell you flat up front, I voted abstain. I think it's a reasonable reason why you should vote abstain. And so the facts are 2 years ago, in July, they used to have alliance tournaments. Anybody who's listened to this, and it's almost been a year, they don't quite know what alliance tournaments are. Alliance tournaments are like Super Bowl, where a bunch of CCP holds this event where alliances will get together and will fight they have point systems, but usually it's 8 to 10 ships, and they will fight each other, and they do the whole tournament system, and it goes all the way up, and then someone wins. For the last 3 years or so, it's been Pandemic Legion. But in this one time, the one I'm talking about now, in this July of 2008 time frame, Potted was out, by the way. So all this information I'm getting currently, right this moment, is from Potted. And what happened was, at that time, they did kind of, you put your hat in the ring, I want to be part of this, and they just randomly pulled. Well, they randomly pulled, and so some of the big, huge power blocks didn't get invited into the Alliance tournament because their name didn't get pulled. And some of these smaller alliances that are no names, or simply created for the Alliance itself, got pulled. So one of the CSM members back in the day, not currently, not with AUK, but back in that time period, his corporation got pulled. So he put out a bid and said, I tell you what, if you give me 2 billion ISK, I will invite you into my corp and you can fight under my banner. So that I think it was IT. I think at the time it was IT. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't gone back and really listened to it again. But IT, or the main corporation, could say, even though we're not part of it, these are all our ships. So everybody would know that IT won if this guy's corporation won. So they gave him the 2 billion ISK. And the guy did nothing. He basically scammed whoever it was. I think it was IT, but he scammed this massive corporation out of 2 billion ISK, and it was a CSM member. And there was a little bit of talk about it, but everybody agreed scamming's allowed in EVE. If you scam, and this guy just was able to scam 2 billion ISK, CSM member 2 billion ISK, some people were saying, well, I thought CSM was held to a higher standard. I thought CSM was going to be this. And then other people, notably Dylan, was like, well, no, it's this guy was known to be the CSM member for scammers, and he scammed somebody. Okay, makes sense. Now I want to move forward just 30 days. Just 30 days from where I was, or from that moment in time. Alliance tournament's over. CSM I think it was 3. I think it is 3. Went ahead and went to Iceland. They did their Iceland thing, and during this time period, this is the Tasker. I'm going to butcher the name. I apologize. But what happened was this guy physically went to Iceland, went to CCP. CCP started talking to him, and he realized off the information they were providing him of what's going to happen in the next expansion, that if he went out and bought some items on the market, and I'm talking about all this funny money, I'm not talking about real life stuff, I'm talking about if he went out to the market and he bought these certain items, that he could gain 2 billion ISK. I know I'm using the word 2 billion twice. I think that was true though, both times. 2 billion ISK profit just by cornering the market on this. And he got this knowledge from CCP. So, and then CCP found out about almost instantaneously, as the next day they look up and this huge order was bought off of these items, and they realized, hey, you got this off of your knowledge. And he said, yeah, he admitted it. So they banned him for 30 days. He had to give the money back. They removed him from the city council. They removed him from CSM, and this, once again, I learned this from Potted, where Dylan went completely bonkers nuts, and Warchild was absolutely ecstatic. This guy was a known scammer, and he tried to scam CCP, and he lost. And so Dylan was completely upset because this guy broke the NDA. Warchild thought it was absolutely because the guy had cojones the size of friggin' moon balls. I mean, just huge cojones to try to scam CCP. So it was acknowledged. He acknowledged that he had tried doing this. They went ahead and pushed him off. They said he could run again. Boom, CSM 4 comes around. I want to talk a little bit about T-Days because he actually had done a lot of things for it, and I get really incensed about the thinking that he's just some type of quitter. CSM 5 comes around, and then they go up there, and Ankh comes back. Now, realize I want to say a few things. Ankh, I don't really care for, right? She was a politician. I really like Minxie. Minxie came back and told it how it is. Told us that this place was horrible. And everybody's all of a sudden giving credit to Minxie right this moment about how much she changed CSM and how much she changed the CCP-CSM dialogue. Well, remember back in July, Jane started going after her. Jane started saying that, this is a bunch of garbage, that you're just dragging through the mud, you should shut up, and everything. And he wasn't the only one. I think Ivo Ganda was starting to step up. There was a huge blowback. She was the first CSM, especially CSM chairwoman, or chairman, to stand up and not give us flower reviews like Ankh did. If you go read Ankh's, it was all about, we went there and this was wonderful and blah 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 blah. It was horrible. It was like listening to a politician talk to you about health care, or listening to a politician talk to you about education. It was the same crap that you always hear day after day after day. Ankh was doing that. I couldn't stand it. Minxie, she stood up for her, and she said, this isn't happening. They're broken. They're not listening to us. Da-da-da-da-da. And it started a huge blowback through the summer. And then she got blowback back saying that you're just disgruntled and da-da-da-da. So this is about Ankh. A week later, after they come back, all of a sudden, Ankh is removed. And this is where my problem is. Everybody right now is telling you that it's this is a democratically elected position. That these are democratically elected representatives going up there. That to me holds a lot of power, just upon itself. For someone to remove them and never tell you why is a problem. Is a very serious problem with me. It is a problem because even in America's Congress, who has some of the worst scammers, cheaters, horrible people are elected in my Congress right now. People who should just be in jail. But there is no one, that's how I believe, that some people out there should not be up there at all. But there's no one up there that a president or anybody can just simply come up to him and say, "You're gone," and not tell anybody why. There has to be something going on, right? The senator who got removed because he had emails that were inappropriate. You had the senator that had the scandal, the tax reform scandal. There were things that happened that you can say the tax reform thing. There was a reason why he broke NDA, right? He broke the NDA. He admitted that he broke the NDA, and that's all I needed to know. I don't know what items he bought. I don't know what information that he used. I have no idea. But that was enough information to say, okay, yeah, I understand why CCP did what they did, and I'm good with that. Now, whether the task would do the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever, I don't really care about. The thing with Ankh was, she got removed, CCP never said why, and then right after that, in one of her last public statements, it was, I don't agree with CCP's decision, I'm going to try to appeal it. And that was it. That was the last you heard of it. Well, that tells me that it wasn't as clear-cut as the tax clear incident. And CCP, for whatever reason, never released it. And I think that if they're going to try to say that we're going to hold fair elections, we're going to hold, these things are democratically, and we're going to remove them at the slightest whim and never tell people why, I think that no, you need to stand up, you need to say this is not a fair system, and that if you remove people, you need to give reasons why. If you're going to tell me that it's democratically elected and that my vote counts, then you need to be able to explain to me if the person that I voted for or anybody that was voted in there is not being able to perform their function, there has to be a reason why. And it's not being done. They're being quiet. And everybody else, all the other podcasts, all the other blogs, everybody that can possibly think about is okay with it, has completely ignored it. And I just think that's wrong. I think you should go up there. I think you should vote abstain to tell the CCP, I believe in the elections, I believe in CSM, and I don't believe how you're doing it is the proper way. Aaron, one of the people that I kind of mentioned this to, he disagrees with me, and I thought it was a wonderful disagreement. Aaron could, if he wants to throw in his own personal views, I want Aaron to, if he can, to read this disagreement that that this gentleman has with me. I'm not going to give any names. I'm not going to give any sayings. This quote that Aaron's about to say is not Aaron's own words. And then after that, if Aaron wants to say a few words, that's fine.
All right. So now that you know that it's not my words that I'm reading, I'm just reading the stuff that Jason copied out of the guy's post to reply to him. And yeah, I know, it's kind of beating a dead horse. All right. Here we go. I totally disagree with your views on the Ankh affair and think CCP acted accordingly and that they do not owe us one iota of explanation on the matter beyond what they have provided, especially in light of the deafening silence from Ankh herself. It doesn't smell like a cover-up. It smells like legal requirements. Do not discuss the case outside of courtroom and a subsequent agreement by all parties to not talk about it afterwards. Probably so Ankh does not get her professional career ruined beyond repair, I would guess. And then there's the Eve, there's the HTTP for the channel thing.
Yeah, that channel is actually our normal CSM. That's what we go to for assembly call. That has nothing to do with this point.
Okay. Personally, as far as I go, I would say it's inappropriate for them to remove him without any kind of comment, but even a simple comment like broke NDA or something like that would be enough that I would just say it's okay. And as far as the other podcasts being not commenting about this, it's probably, you'll notice that you've only done one CCP interview, and Lost and Eve, who's quiet about this, have done quite a few. You might think that might be part of the cause, that they're worried that you'll bring that up in your questions. So that might be part of the reason why you don't get this follow-on interviews, even though you did a really good interview the last time you did one. I was really shocked at how well it came out. Anyway, with that being said, I think we're having issues with our connections. So that was like the fourth time I read that same little statement, and each time it broke up in the middle. So we're going to kind of call the rest of the day quit, especially since, is that what you were going to say?
Actually, you broke up right when you said you were going to call it quits. But yeah, so me and Aaron have been doing this now for 41 weeks. And we've had almost no problems ever recording. Everything's always been fine and great. This one specific day, we've never had a breakup. And this day we've had 4 breakups in a row. So we're going to skip sports pages because, one, we're pretty long as is. We're long on the tooth just this week because I talked way too much. 2, his sister's about to wake up, things he needs to get moving on. It's been 2 hours just recording this portion of it. So we're going to go ahead and skip sports pages. We're going to move to iTunes reviews, which I don't think we have any. Mail. I have a lot of personal mails, but I need to give some shout-outs. Some of the intro and the outro were done by Pure Blind Poppy. The writer was by Dyson, and the producer was X-Ripper. Also, wanted to give a quick shout-out. By the way, anything that I said in the CSM and my version of Ankh, no one has endorsed. So I don't want you to think, I don't want anybody all the little advertisements or anybody else, no one has ever talked to me about this. This is something I've kept to myself for the most part. I had one person give me a comment that I want Aaron to read. It's something that's very heavy on my soul, but nobody who gives me advertisements or talks to me endorses my viewpoints. I just want that to be very clear. But the intro and outro, Pure Blind Poppy, is awesome. We're going to have we're probably going to be on to Section 8, which is going to be a radio station that's starting up. I'm going to start trying to get links. I'm hoping to be part of that. Really excited. And if anybody wants to know why Section 8 is so popular, I want to play you a little clip.
You know, it gets so lonely out here in space. Just you, your ships, and all those celestial bodies floating around out there. There are times when I wish I had a different kind of body with me. Your corpse in the cargo hold. You're transmitting with the Pure Blind Poppy on Section 8 radio. You sure cannot say it.
Now, I don't know about you, that just one makes me give up my couch, if I have one, because those friggin' monkeys still have it. And if anybody ever sees my couch and can give me some ideas, I'll even go to Tama. That's how serious I am. Now, I might go in there with a little bitty stealth cloaky ship, but I'll still go in there. I just want my couch back. I mean, Aaron, why don't you just go ahead and just tell me your final thought?
You're traveling to another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land, whose boundaries are that of imagination. There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, Aaron's final thoughts.
brother-in-law and sister's house.
Broke up on
I
me.
think it quits. So
Yeah.
that's my final thought. It's time to call it quits for this podcast, not for the total podcast overall, but episode 41. So I think that's it's kind of like a sign saying, let's call it.
See you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Not a Lot of News Hour. We wanted to take a moment to tell you how much we appreciate you really listening to us. We've thought of some smart things in the past. We've thought of some stupid things in the past. We've been long, we've been short, but yet you've stuck with us through and through. As a little appreciation, we've heard some words of wisdom that we want to pass on to you.
Now you'll need these very important tools because dealing with gamers is like trying to give a cat a bath. Only it's 20 cats, and instead of cats, they're actually rabid, underfed mountain lions. There will probably be tears, bloodletting, and a huge amount of agony, but in the end, it's just a bunch of pissed off over something trivial.
Hello.
Power to the people, man.
Or something like that.
Oh, have you been following the nuclear thing at all?
A little, yeah. I'm with family, so I don't get a lot of time to spend reading news articles and such like that.
Yeah, I'm with family, and so they're expecting me to become the expert on it.
All right. Here's what you need to know. The plant that's in
Fuji. That's good. We'll just say Fuji.
Fuji. What?
Right.
So it's
you're very familiar with the general concept, then.
Right. What happened? They had two earthquakes, and they're also sitting on the coast. They used seawater as their cooling water So okay. They had an explosion when the main turbine they put in the generator end. Right. They fill that generator end with hydrogen because it has a lower density, so it has less friction, so less heat to remove. Yada yada yada.
They didn't fill it with helium. They fill it with hydrogen.
Yeah, hydrogen.
They fill it with explosive gas.
Gas, yes. I thought that was kind of a little strange myself too at a nuclear plant.
Oh, you're talking about so
they have they had an explosion, and what happened was that hydrogen tank ruptured in the secondary containment.
Okay.
Which, because secondary containment has a turbine and a bunch of pumps and all the condensate, that's where some of that radioactivity came in. But because it had been shut down for long enough, it was all just water. So you're talking the explosion evaporated some of the water, so you get some minor contamination around the area.
Everybody's freaking out, and I read this thing, and it said it's 0.1015 rem. I'm going, 0.1 rem? Y'all are freaking out about 0.1 rem?
Yeah. Well,
my nuclear power is so far away that I can't remember that 1 rem was not a big idea. 1 rad is pretty big, but 1 rem was like, okay, so...
1 rem is your yearly exposure.
Right.
So 0.1 is not that bad.
Right.
Anyway, but the containment is still holding steady, and what they're using is, since they ran out of their fresh water, they're using salt water. to cool the.
That's what the Navy uses. I mean, in worst case scenario, we'll take the C and we'll pump it into the primary. But the primary is holding, right? I mean, the primary containment is holding.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm reading all these, and I'm starting to look at these news agents. Third explosion is going. Well, maybe because the press really wants to make it sound really, really, really bad. But when I'm reading, I'm thinking it's not that. I mean, it's a big deal as far as explosions and hurting people and things like that. But it's not like Chernobyl,